Hi. I was recently talking to somebody who said that a friend of hers, after years of going through the process of breaking away from a 20-year incredibly toxic relationship, said to her, "Didn't your family tell you that this was terrible? Like, didn't your friends say to you, like, this person is not good for you?" And she's laughing as she's telling me this, and she says, "Well, my therapist kind of told me that, but she's the only one that told me that." And it's not like I was like, "Hey, this person's an asshole. Hey, you have to leave this person." But I mean, I did get to that place, but it took me a long time of working with this person to even be able to say that to her in a way that she could receive it, right? So you have to have gradual openings in the psyche of a person for them to be able to hear you say, what is happening is not normal. And even if it's normal in your world, it's not right. There's another way to live. And I want to talk about the fact that her family never told her that, and her friends never told her that. And that can seem really strange when you get out of a situation like that and you're like, whoa, how the hell? I was living in a time warp. Like, what's going on here? I had no idea there was another way of relating. And the thing about codependency and toxic relationships is that when you are raised in a codependent family or a narcissistic family, your idea of relationship comes with an idea of pain, and it comes with an idea that we connect over crisis, and it comes with charge being the basis of connection. That charge is actually the thing that makes you connected to this person. And when you do enough healing to step out of that place and you go, oh my gosh, normal people actually relate to each other without that like intense charge, and they have boundaries that aren't enmeshed, and they're relating to each other as if they're both sovereign. Like, what is that? What's going on here? Your family's not going to tell you that you're in a toxic relationship because they're the reason that you're probably in the toxic relationship. Their boundaries, or lack thereof, their programming, and definitely there's not lack thereof in that context, their programming is that what you're experiencing is just normal. It's just an everyday relationship. And I have definitely been the codependent in my life who thought that narcissistic people were normal and I was the failure, right? Like, they were the god and I was doing something wrong because I was trying to worship and it wasn't working out, and then I was the bad person. So on the healing journey, you're going to lose a lot of people. And if you come out of your healing journey, and I shouldn't say come out, but if you come out of a place where you can say, I even have 5 people that I can relate to, you're blessed. Most of us probably aren't going to be that blessed. You're going to lose a lot of people in your life from your healing journey, because you're going to realize all of your relationships have primarily been with narcissistic type personalities. And if they haven't been, when you realize that, the demise of your relationships with those narcissistic type personalities is going to mean that all of the codependents in your life are going to theoretically side with that narcissist, because that's the programming that they're used to, right? That's the intense charge that connects them. And when you step out, you're no longer connectable, right? Like, if you're actually trying to heal, you're no longer connectable to those people. So they're going, even the codependents in your life who might theoretically love you, they're going to side with the narcissistic people in your life. And that's going to be a really lonely ride. So expect that peace, right? Expect that peace. You are going to come out, instead of feeling lonely in a room full of people, you're going to come out feeling lonely, like truly lonely, in your own space. And one's not easier than the other. One is much more distractible than the other, right? So we don't get to focus on it so much. And it's a depressing place you come out to, where you go, oh my God, all of that added up to this. And what is this, right? This is me alone. Like, I've spent my life building other people, and here I am. I haven't even created a foundation for myself. And now when I'm alone and I realize all of the floorboards in my own foundation are literally falling through, I'm falling into the basement of my own psyche alone. Nobody's here to catch me when you've been the person catching all of those people. that's it's a sad reality, right? Your family's not going to tell you that you're now normal. You're not going to feel normal because you have all these other people who distract themselves from that feeling with an intense way of relating to each other. But that feeling is part of the healing process, and getting comfortably acquainted with that feeling is part of the healing process. So I just want to point out that the people in your life that aren't pointing out that the things that are toxic for you and hurting you in your life, and your parents might see it and literally think it's normal, and your friends might see it and they might side with the person who's actually creating harm for you. And when you come out to realize that they see it and they don't care, you think maybe they don't care that this is happening, they don't think it's abnormal. They think everybody has to go through it, so why shouldn't you, right? So they're not telling you that you're in a toxic relationship because they don't know. And sometimes it is like contrast. I'm realizing this more and more every day. And I think that part of my own book about dreaming is going to be on contrast, because contrast is an ego killer and simultaneously an ego expander. And it's a soul expander, but when it's kind of like killing the ego and expanding it at the same time, it creates conflict. And what I mean by that is, when you don't know there's another way, you think that this is the way that you connect to people, by showing them that you love them, by giving them loyalty that they wouldn't give you in return, by always being available for them, and like stepping back to make every conversation about them and giving room for them, and trying to kind of get room for yourself, but knowing that if you did that, it wouldn't really work out. You probably would lose the connection completely with this person. When you come to a place where you can go, oh, other people don't do it that way, you don't get it right away, right? Because then you go, I'm in a relationship with this new friend of mine, but it's like not deep, and like it's very surface. And how do I relate to somebody when we're talking about the weather, which is really nice practice in presence, right? Like talking about the weather is actually not really small talk. It's witnessing. It's like sitting around a campfire and noticing the shapes in the fire, right? Back in the day, it is kind of back to our roots. But back in the day, I used to think, if you're talking to me about the weather, you don't have anything going on. And now I'm like, please talk to me about the weather so we can witness something together and be in something together and see something together, instead of look at each other and try to dissect each other's lives and not see anything outside of the periphery of that intense connection with somebody. When you realize there's other ways of doing things, you're not going to get it right away. And it's confrontational, because you think, oh my God, I got all the way to this point, and I have zero clue how to relate to the world outside of a codependent narcissistic dynamic. And I want to, I'm trying, right? Like there's this sense of I want to and I'm trying, but it just doesn't feel like the depth that I'm used to feeling. And that's because it doesn't feel like the pain that you're used to feeling. So you don't associate it with love, because there's an association between pain and love for a person growing up in a narcissistic home. So your friends and family aren't going to tell you. You might have a good therapist who can stay with you for long enough for you to be able to hear the words like, yeah, dude, you have to go. Like, this is not, first of all, it's not normal, but it's also not safe. And it's definitely not sustainable. And it's definitely going to destroy your children's psyche, right? So it is a new world when you come out and realize that other families would never tolerate their child going through, even in adulthood, going through what you went through. And other friends would never like even stick around to see how you've normalized or quieted the craziness of your relationship that you live in every single day. So yeah, I just want to say, when you come out fresh like a baby because you're on the healing journey and you feel alone and you're like, oh, there's a different way of relating, there's a new way, what should I be focusing on? And you don't have that mom figure that you had to focus on. So there's like multiple avenues that you could choose from. It is daunting because you don't know what avenue to take, and you don't really know how to relate to people because you've never been taught to relate from your first person perspective and the second person's perspective and the third person perspective where you can actually see all of these at interplay, right? You've always been taught that your feelings don't matter. You relate to the other person, and that's basically it. If you can relate to them, then you're going to be safe. But when you then go, okay, how does this other person relate to me? How do I let them in? Because a big part of our work is in reception. How do I actually let this person relate to me? And am I comfortable with that? That's a whole new journey and a whole new path. So I just kind of want to say, you're going to lose a lot of people. That is normal. Expect it. And some of the people might come back later on when they realize, when they do their own healing and they go, oh, interesting. Like, I wasn't in a position to stick up for this person or see what this person was going through. And you can maybe or maybe not allow that back into your life, depending on how fragile your psyche is or whatever. But this is not, this is anecdotal, but this is also something I've witnessed in every single person that I've worked with. There is this point where you kind of come awake and you realize, oh my God, nobody even told me. Like, how the hell am I an adult and I missed this? And even if you're incredibly smart and incredibly self-aware, incredibly other-aware, and you're going to go, oh wait, why didn't my family tell me? Why didn't my friends tell me? And it's probably because they're all in the program, the narcissistic codependent program, and they're normalizing it. So they can't tell you because they can't see it. They just think that that's just life. And I'm here to tell you, if the person who is like actually harming you and is actually like an actual dickhead, you're allowed to not think that's normal. You're allowed to have enough self-respect to choose a different path. And it's going to be probably a lonely one. And you're not really going to know how to relate to that new path at first. And that's okay, because you're a trailblazer, right? That's why you're here. And it ain't easy to blaze a trail by any means. You're going to get thorns in your feet. You're going to get prickers in your legs. It's going to hurt you. You're going to bleed. It's going to suck. You're not going to see the water for a long time. You're not going to see the sun for a long time. You're going to be in the woods. And then there's going to be a clearing. And then there's going to be peace. But before that, it is very uncomfortable. So I'm here to just say, expect that. Okay? Expect the sense of, oh, I don't even know how to relate to these people that didn't tell me all these years. And because as a healed person, I know that I don't want to relate to them in that charged way that we're used to, or that crisis-oriented way. It's very a strange awakening to come to. And then ideally you charge through that trail, and then you can rest a while when you get on your beach, right? And when you find the water source, and when you find the potential for others who are equally like free and not in the forest at that point. Most of those people are going to leave you, or you're going to leave most of those people. And that is scary, because you're going to be asked to be literally on your own. And all these years you felt on your own, right? And you're like, why the hell do I always have to be the one on my own? Why do I have to be the one to change? Why am I feeling lonely while I'm building up other people and making them feel better? It's going to get worse before it gets better. You're going to feel lonely. You're going to lose people. And I want you to know that's normal. That's all. That's normal. You're not crazy. That doesn't mean you're the narcissist. That doesn't make you an asshole. It doesn't mean that you're disloyal. It doesn't mean that you're abandoning people. It just means that you're in the forest and you're now communing with the trees instead of the crazy chaos at the like nighttime rave, basically, is what it feels like to be in a codependent narcissistic relationship, that you never get to sleep and you have to do a bunch of drugs just to like hang out, right? Like, how do I even be in this? And then you go to the woods and you're like, oh my God, it's too quiet and I'm terrified. This is terrifying and I'm bleeding. Like, let me go back to the insanity. It is normal that you're gonna lose people. Can't say it enough. Expect it. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It just is part of the process. Bye.